Can we prevent censorship of a web page or mobile application? If you are a user, you may probably think, I use VPN, I use Tor. But in fact, these methods do not completely prevent censorship. Yes, they sometimes work to overcome the name of DNS and the field, but they don't have a guarantee. In addition, VPNs may not always be safe, and in some countries, even VPN services can be prevented. Although the Torgi bonds provide anonymity, it is not always possible to work under heavy censorship. In this video, I will not explain how we can systemically prevent censorship itself, not to open censored practices. In other words, instead of constantly escaping against censorship, structurally censorship, we will see how to install an internet infrastructure that does not work.
Videonun ilk bölümünde bunu Web 3.0 dünyasının merkeziyetsiz yapısıyla nasıl başarabileceğimizi açıklayacağım.
This section will be for those who wonder how technology works and why it is censored. In the second part of the video, I will show you how to store our web files in horizontal networks such as IPS without central servers by taking some codes with some codes. How to buy and how to install content in the IPFS area. How can we make it possible to use the web page? We will see them. Of course, moreover, there will be those who want to make more improvements in this section. For example, I bought a web user domain named Bezabram.unstoppable, and I will explain step by step how I did it. Let's continue now. Unstoppable web. Unstoppable web. Have you heard this concept before? Most of you may hear it for the first time. In fact, the web I mentioned in this first video is 3.0, one of the cornerstones of the world. Today, I will tell you about an internet structure that cannot be censored by any authority, especially societies like us who have to use their ideas while living under the threat of censorship and say their ideas. Incredibly valuable development. This is, of course, not only limited to repressive countries. Platform censorship worldwide, company censorship. New forms of censorship, such as economic pressure, are also spreading rapidly. No matter what happens, no one should pull the internet plug, and that's why the internet of the future will be decentralized. But let's make a distinction here. If a content is really society, if it is harmful to, for example, it should be possible to prevent it, such as violent encouragement. But this decision is after a few managers close doors. It's not something to get. It should be given directly with the collective will of the users. The structure that provides this is DAOs, i.e. decentralized autonomous. It is called organizations. Well, you seem to be asking if everyone can commit the crime they want. In fact, when we talk about freedom, we immediately think of a crime. This may be because we are not living in a free society. Freedom does not mean the right to commit a crime. However, it seems to me that an automatic bond is being established between freedom and crime in non-free societies, because existing systems encourage individuals to commit a crime and to commit a crime. He punishes them for saying crime, and the system is individualizing crimes to protect himself. It makes social reasons invisible. This is, of course, directly linked to the capitalist society structure. Value relations in capitalism, especially. Meta-value relationships are individual and therefore encourages crime production. As a result of this, the crime is bad. Maybe connected. That's why the structural incentive mechanisms of the system are hidden. In fact, even now, everyone can say free to commit the crime they want. Only the system decides who will be punished. This much. This is exactly why a real free internet is not just a technological issue, but a social transformation issue. Will freedom come with technology? I have to make a very important warning here. Freedoms are not a technological issue. Technology can only be liberating in the hands of a community that requires freedom. So the web does not guarantee 3.0 technology's freedom, but people who want freedom provide vehicles. These tools were built on values such as transparency, durability, collective governance, and avoidance of centralization. It may be possible under a real free internet. Of course, under a free society. In summary, Web3 technologies IPS, dealer, and unstoppable domains with structures such as the Internet we know today's Internet censorship. It offers the opportunity to install a more resistant version of pressure and wheelbarrow. Offers us. The closure of websites will be very difficult. Freedom of expression will have a safer ground. However, it is not enough to know the technology for this. We also need free consciousness and community solidarity. First of all, we all know com.net, organ, and similar domains, i.e. the Web 2.0 domains and the Web 3.0 domains. So what is the difference? Let's start here. First of all, I say let's start with traditional domains. Because these domains we know are controlled and managed by an institution. For example, icon. What is life? Let me show an example immediately. I wrote google.com. This site is who.is. From here, we can question Excel domains. When I search for Google, I can control me what the IP address is, by whom, by which institution. It shows that it is supervised. For example here, google.com.tr. Let's write more information. Here, the dent in Turkey, for example. What we see by an institution in Ankara developed by Metu. This domain record was made. We are on the DNS, which dates that it is registered, and on which dates it ends in a dynasty this year, google.com Turkey. Then they will probably extend it again. Here, I can check these traditional domains and the IP address in the background we don't actually see and actually controls these domains. Of course, this IP address does not give. The IP address, i.e. the IP address of the domain, is given by hosting companies. Why do hosting companies actually give us this domain IP addresses? Because we do not want to keep the IP address in mind to enter Google. But if it is a name, we can keep it in our minds. When we write google.com.tr to the search engine, this is solved by DNS. In fact, the IP address is also directed to the existing traditional servers with the IP address, so we can actually log into a web page. So how is the situation in the Web 3.0 dooms? I'm having a search for Sunday Iram. Web 3 newly selected. Since the Web 3 legend was selected, different domains welcomed us from Excel dooms. As you can see, there are a lot of domains such as Basbaran.x, WeFlipto, Wallet, Zeal, Bitcoin, and I can record them from here. I already made a record. This is Basabram Unstoppable. If you pay attention to any com, org, etc. So I also recorded 2.0 domain of the web. If you pay attention, there's a start date of this, and there is actually a finishing date and a start date. Because we buy and rent them. But here there is any purchase date in Unstoppable, which is unstoppable, but there is no repulsion date. Because we don't buy it from someone. So there is no owner of it. I'm trying to say it. Where was this? In the Polygon network. In fact, a token registered on the blockchain system and nobody can change it. Nobody can prevent the knowledge of this. Why can't he prevent it? Because this is not a domain that is classic, which we call a life, which I just described before. That institution cannot manage it. That institution cannot decide about it. There is no IP address that we see in the background. If you pay attention to the opposite, there is a token here. This token you cannot see, but this token can actually own this domain, and this domain cannot delete, this domain cannot change more. In general, to solve these domains, the traditional Chrome is Firefox, but they do not resolve types of domains, but in the future, I think they will have to solve it. They will be because they do not have to. As far as I know, this browser, which I am currently using, is analyzing this. And also, I think Opera supports. I think there are other browsers like this. Now the difference between two resets for the web between the 3.0 for now. I hope we understand better now. In the next stage, let's try to make a web page by using the WebWare domain. This web page is decentralized like IPS, how to decentralize domain like IPS, dispersed like decentralized data. In the sharing network like APFS, we will hold these web files and try to reach the web page between these two networks through this hash. When we enter the profile section, you see our biography, our website, our social media addresses we are connected to, and so on. If we enter this, our tokens can also become visible by others by this vehicle that provides this unstoppable domain. But even if we don't want it, we'll choose all private or we never enter our information. Then this domain recording does not appear on any person. Anyway, who is registered by the addresses cannot be learned only with the hash here. In addition, of course, in the transfer section, it becomes possible to transfer this domain to other people anonymously. The same financial domain. Like the transfer of assets like Bitcoin, it is actually an entity here, and here you can send it to a wallet address on the Ethereum or Polygon network. When we do this, the person we send this token is now able to manage it. Yes, let's talk about IPS now. What is this IPS? What is the difference from genexual servers? Why should we use IPFS with the web with 3 domains? We'll talk about it a little bit. Technically, when we enter the IPFS web page, it gives us the definition of IPFS. He says what it does. There are some explanations here. He also has a cool name. It's like a file system, like file sharing between planets. Of course, he actually wants to refer to that thing. Peer-to-peer wants to refer to person from person. Open protocols to make your data smarter. Here, as well as our open way to make this protocol smarter by verifying our addresses by verifying them. Actually, he says we can do it unstoppable. Here, these files, i.e. the files we upload to IPFS, actually keep the nodes. What are the nodes? They are also computers. You can compare this to the traditional torrent system, because there is a similar structure in the torrente. The files are not based on the name after that minute, but they are kept in these nodes as pieces and are called. Here, too, we can download this IPFS to our own computer immediately after you say get started. He asks us how to download it. As you can see, there is a program in operating systems such as Windows, macOS, and Ubuntu. What does this program do? It allows us to send a file to IPFS. As I said, when I send any file to this network, I will actually send it to the nodes. Who are the nodes? They are users who set up this program on their computer like me. Let me show you how to download it right away. After clicking on Windows or a non-linking link here, he transmits you directly to the GitHub page. GitHub also has programs in accordance with all these operating systems. You can download any one. I downloaded and installed it before this video. The installation is very simple. After setting up directly, if you pay attention to this page after giving some permissions, there are incoming and outgoing parts, where we see the data and the outgoing data coming to us. Actually, the files that someone uploaded are on my computer right now. It comes to my computer and processes here. Others make a request, go there, send others, come. These actually show us the network traffic. I came to files here. There's nothing. Let's say I want to upload a picture here. Let's upload a sample picture. For example, let me upload this. He says publish it and to send this to the network. I say publish here, right here. I choose self. I say myself. Select the key for publishing. By whom? Who will be published for who? I choose for myself. There is a CDA. This is actually necessary to send this file to the network. I say publish. He says please wait. If you pay attention to us for now, he gave a key here. This key is actually a link through a link through a link. This hilly will actually allow us to reach the picture we send. I said done. Then let's try to open this picture from here. If you pay attention to the moment, because I can send this file, because it depends on the process of taking the nodes. If you pay attention, it comes slowly, but there are ways to make it faster. There is something called pin for this, and Pinata is good faster. For example, the same system is accessible only through this Pinata cloud. I thought of 5 gigabytes or a space that could be even more. I entered the same picture again. Do you want a public? So be open to everyone. Yes, for example, I have installed it for now. He sent me again with SID and gave me my SID. If you pay attention when I clicked here, I opened the picture on a get. So he quickly reached these nodes and I quickly became able to pull it through IPFS. Where data? Is it on any server? No, on someone's computer. Not someone. These copies are on the computer of many people. Since it is moaning, this can now be a picture or any file. It is not possible to disappear because copies are constantly increasing. And when I take it, the speed of arrival will increase now, of course, directly. When you do it through IPFS, it has a waiting time, but as I said, you don't have to wait. The system is very much in the system. For this, I will use it for the 3 doors of the web I bought for the 3 doors I bought. Web3.storage, which actually allows me to easily send my files to IPFS. Yes, let's make a simple login page and try to use it with the domain I bought. Of course, in order to send this file to IPFS at first, we need to write a HTML page immediately. I call it new file here. Let's do it directly from here. HTML page, create the roof here, welcome to the unstoppable world. Let's call a world tree. Then let's even take a picture here. Picture. We can actually use the URL of the picture we sent to IPFS. Let's come here, let's get into the CRC section. It is not very important, that part is ready for now. HTML. As index.html, let's install it on the IPS as if loading directly to the server and try to connect it to my domain. Quickly, yes, Plantea. I'm here. I will add Pinata again. File upload. Where's my file? There. ASB Web3? No, that's not. Yes, that. There is HTML. Yes, I'm sending it public get HTML. Only one HTML page. When I sent me again and try to direct this page, I'm coming to my web page. Website linking IPSH. Yes, link to existing IPSH. This is what we want. We actually want to connect our current link with IPS. I immediately said link website. Here. I paste the hash I just bought, IPS hash. I said launch website. I said now that this domain was connected directly to this IPS hash, so it was connected to our index.html page and I need to reach this to the previous HTML page. But of course, what does he say right now? For now, these changes are registered and the information here is being updated. And in this sense, we are waiting for this for now. As soon as this is directed, the ARP can enter this dominance only. Yes, even opened, even very quickly directed. So this normal traditional web is not directed so fast even with 2.0 dominance. If you pay attention right now, my Bazabran, ANS to boo-boo with Domini. In fact, this goes to IPFS and we just wrote that we wrote here. And Versal has a site. So what do you mean? This is not something that is controlled by both domain and data itself on any server, under any authority. This is IPFS. We can say that these data cannot be increased because they are taken with them. So what are the scenarios to reach any censorship situation? They will try to block the domain. They will notice that the domain they are trying to prevent the domain is not a rope. More precisely, they will see that he is not a server. In this sense, they can block common domains and gateways. This prevents all the general application. So this gateway, but we can set up our own gateway. For him, there are many ways to escape. Now we can even hide which file it is. For example, he seems to go. It doesn't matter if it appears. This cannot be deleted. But let's say we don't want it to appear either. Then what can we do? We can deploy with apps like reversal. What does he mean? So I will show it in the next stage. Yeah, I mentioned Wurzel. These Wurzel developers. It actually allows to broadcast applications on web pages via cloud. Very good application, because it gives you the chance to quickly broadcast through its own subdomain. Your application is performance. I think there is a limit again, but it is free. I examined the document a little. In the document, I will upload here how to pray certain applications. Whatever they expect from us and how we need to use this application, they actually write them in this document. Now, many things are explained in this document. It is generally technique, so you can also get domain here. You can also connect. It has many features for your application. After the security parts, many to other CDNs will actually allow you to deploy your project in fact. We can say that there is a tool and equipment. What will we use for now? Isn't it a central application we call cloud? Why could he need such a thing? You know, there's no such thing as insecure. In this sense, our aim is to use it. We will receive the hash we have published on the previous IPFS. We just said it, or we don't want to see this part. So it is not clear that it is taken from IPFS. It's like we're holding a different web under 2 DOI. But in fact, we do not leave the security of our information to cloud. What do you mean I want to say this? We actually publish our website via Versal. Wurzel gives us a roof. We define our IPFS there. It opens the web files we send through the system and directs it to the IPFS address. Our files on Wurzel's cloud will look like Wurzel's cloud's cloud, and under the 2 resters of Wurzel will appear under Wurzel's subdomain. When we change the IPS hash shiny at any time, we will be like changing the hosting in the background. It's like we can change the domain at any time. Why is this important? This is actually a method that allows you to make a getaway. In other Unstoppable, you can go directly to IPFS with main. There's no problem with this, but that. I wanted to show it as a plus. Now we will write a small code. Then let's send it here to push. Let's see how it works. Yes, now we have to open a repo in a GitHub first. Why is this necessary? We will make our files private. We'll upload it here in a special way. It will be invisible. We will actually ask Versal to use these files. When he will release our web page, when he will repo, this will come to the repo called GitHub, and we will take the codes we have uploaded from here and we actually want to do it. We'll take it to the broadcast. We have files and projects that I have published as many open source here. In addition, I will now have opened such a repo. Let's say, what should we say to this repo? My web rehab. Public or private says private. Let's say we don't have to do anything else, but let's say create reports. Yes, go here, you need some information. I will clone this right away. I have to define this project on my computer first. Then I'll call the codes we wrote here push. After I send it here, I will see my codes here. After seeing the codes, we will transfer it to Reversal. Now first, let's open the editor, Visual Studio Editor. Let's write a small code from there, because if we want to publish in Versal, Versal has some requests. We need to specify what we want to do on a roof as he wants. We can also write a small code according to our needs. We will write, let's start this part. Yes, now I'm connecting to repo. Let's call it clone and pull it out there. Yes, he gave a warning at the moment. He says that the repo you downloaded, that is, says empty. Yes, empty, but let's see what we have in the web. Yes, came here. As you see, web, my WebTree app, CD, my WebTree app. Let's say yes. I am opening it immediately, Visual Studio. Now we are creating a folder here right now, of course. Come to me under the API, says the index.js will be under the API. What will we do? Immediately we need to make some settings with Versal.json file, but this will not be below Versal.json API. Now, not under Reversal APN, let's first come into our index.js file here. Let's call export default here. This will be a sign. Yes, the code completion is thanks to my artificial intelligence. Now let's come like this. We have the const seed. We'll get into him here. Then we need to create a gateway URL. We need to create gateway URL. Actually, yes, it is similar, but not exactly the way. Of course. We need to escape the tuna. Yes, indexed. Indexed. Here he get our order. Apart from that, let's create an IPS IPCTF painter for enhanced response. It's like a test, right? Yes, yes. But there's no need for this. Yes. Let's delete this. Yes, such a thing can return to us. But of course this status we IPS rest. Let's take it as a status, then let's call it HTML, of course, let us texty. I say set header here as classic, we chose it header res. After that, we come to Versal immediately. Why is this Versal important? Versal actually needs to tell the place to reach the application to reach the domain. JSON is important because we need to tell you where our domain should open. Immediately, I am from here to the rewrite section like the document. He told me what to write in artificial intelligence. But this is not TS. I'm deleting this. There's no such thing here. Okay, directly to Ana folder. Sufficient. So what do we do next? What we're going to do next is to bird in GitHub. I open my terminal right there. The terminal has arrived. I said go status. Because there is nothing. Okay, go. Yes, let's do that it is a save. This file system. We need to copy this and stick it here. Yes, now he said go status. Yes, these changes have been read, but it shows that things are not at the top. I said go a commit. Why? We need to get a commit comment. I say Web3 app creation. It's like okay now. Let's push Leah now. Yes, it was pushed. He's gone right now. Isn't it? Let's see right now. I refresh this page. As you can see, under the AP folder index.js in reversal.js, codes appear. We don't have any problems. Now I'm coming to Versal quickly. I already have an account in Versal. My account says add new. Let's call it project. Yes, I have allowed my project before. With my GitHub, he has established a direct connection and sees the repos I created. If you are paying attention to my web triag seems to have come. I call it import. What I'm saying, my web trip. Okay, no problem. He says to deploy this. I said yes. He's leaving now. He takes my codes in GitHub and tries to deploy after going. So this is taking this dormitory and then a yes for me, congratulations, and deployment is ready. Let's see where it is broadcast. Look, it was published here. He created a domain for me. Subdomain. What? My web trip. But we have a problem. There is an internal server error or something here. Why is there? Because we have hash. We do not enter the hash of the file we sent to the IPFS system. I'm coming again. Yes, we came here. Where? Seed. Yes, our seed is here. Then again IPFS. What did we send? Send this. We want it to be opened. Then we came. Let's enter our CD from here. I say go again. I'm getting another commit. Yes, we got it. Now I'm giving up again. Yes, it is gone. Now I'm coming here again. Let's call runtime log. We made a mistake, but I'm actually confused. We didn't use IPFS itself through the program, but I wrote it here. This was wrong, because this will not give via gateway. When I went to the unstoppable Bazaba unstoppable domain, we bought it via ipfs.io via that gateway. Then here, I have to get into it. Let's add it like this. Maybe like this. I'm saving this. Go to add go commit AML. Yes, let's come to reversal. Yes, it seems to be okay here. Yes, if you pay attention, it appears directly through the Versal app. Don't go, he says Barams. This is not very important, even let's look at it directly. Yes, we can change this domain if you want, we can use it directly. My web tree app sick for Salab. What have we done? Let me tell you this again. We actually deployed it through the Versal app, in fact, to reach the IPFS.
deploy ettik ve bunun aslında görünemez hale gelmesini sağladık.
When we
Şu
look
an
at this
bu
project with
listeye
this
girdiğimiz
project,
zaman
when we look at what we are
öğretim
checking,
içinde
we
ne
see
var
the
diye
URL
bakıyoruz.
if you just pay
Sadece resmin
attention.
dikkat ederseniz URL'ini görüyoruz. O da
He's
Pinterest
obviously in
olarak
Piñata,
gözüküyor. Ama onun
but
dışında
we have a
burada
chance to hide it.
izleyebilirsiniz.
There is,
Ama
but
onun
now I
dışında
think I don't have to go into many details here and tell him. At least you understand the logic. But if you pay attention, it is like any yes. The content under the domain is likely to be broadcast directly. This data is felt as if this was in Wurzel. So even if they block that, you can easily change this domain. Because why, yes, some learning can be entered with some learning unstoppable. But remember that 3 domains do not open in every browser. So you can do both kinds. So both available IPF. You can connect your files to the Web3 worlds by constantly changing gateway with such methods. You can say something to ordinary users. You know, don't do that. Of course there are some add-ons. It opens to 3 worlds via Chrome and the web via Firefox. But as I said, this will be obliged before. So he'll have to accept it. This is or like that. This is the future of the future. Thank you for watching. After that, I will introduce the most widely used web power applications. In terms of this video, I haven't bought this guy here before. He was doing social media more and organizing it. There was a horse protocolu. Now, as an alternative to YouTube, decentralized. How can Signal or WhatsApp use of chat applications, a decentralized chat system without decentralized artificial intelligence, without the need to Telegram? How can it become easy for users? Because it is not a problem that these developers should do, is that users can do it very easily. Not the problem, we extended it too much. Thanks to watching again for watching.